let a single drop of dark gold blood fall onto his tongue. It burned like molten iron sliding down his throat. His bones felt like they were growing again, but his ears went sharp, terrifyingly sharp. Before sunrise, he opened his eyes inside a body bag.
Hold back the dark.
Tonight, none of you leave this town alive. Who are you looking for?
I see you, Dawn Order. Every shadow in this town belongs to me. You cannot hide her. I will find the pureblood child.
Winter nights in St. Victor City were always damp. Before that night, he always thought he was lucky. His name is Ethan Gray. Ethan had an ordinary job filing fire department records, a gentle wife named Mara, and a daughter, Lily, who covered the fridge in crayon drawings. That evening, Mara came home from the hospital. Pale, she said she'd found a batch of impossible transfusion records in the old archives. The dead were still signing their names years after they'd died. Ethan figured she was just exhausted and poured her a hot coffee. Outside, a crow landed on the streetlight and stared at their window. Late that night, Lily suddenly asked,
"Daddy, why are there people without shadows standing at the door?"
Ethan turned. The glass showed only the lamp inside. The next second, the doorbell rang. Back then, he didn't know the people outside weren't guests. They were the start of every nightmare to come. As he reached for the doorknob, Mara grabbed his wrist. Her fingers were terribly cold.
Don't believe a word they say.
Ethan checked the monitor. 3 figures in long black coats stood outside, faces pale as freshly dug corpses. The lead man smiled.
The hospital sent us to verify some files.
Mara heard the voice. Her cup shattered in her hand. She lunged to lock the door, but the deadbolt had already been snapped from outside, without a sound. The 3 slipped into the living room like fog. Ethan grabbed the iron fireplace hook and charged. A casual swipe sent her crashing into the wall. Lily hid under the dining table. Mara planted herself in front of her. The man sniffed the air and smiled.
Found it. The pureblood child.
Ethan crawled up, face slick with blood, and finally saw the fangs sliding out of their mouths. That was when he understood. The secret Mara never finished telling him had already shoved their family into the middle of a hunting ground. Ethan tried to follow. The man turned and smiled at him. It wasn't the smile a man gives an enemy. It was the smile a man gives a delivery slip he's just signed for. And drove a broken table leg into one of their chests. The thing shrieked, black smoke pouring from the wound. The other 2 looked stunned for the first time. An ordinary man wasn't supposed to manage that. But he was still too weak. Ethan watched Mara fall in a pool of blood. Ethan watched the dark swallow Lily's crying just as fangs were closing on his throat. Heels clicked over broken glass at the door. A silver-haired woman in red lipstick walked in. Every vampire dropped to their knees. She looked down at him like she was studying a dying wolf that still wanted to bite.
Interesting. Leave him a breath.
Ethan thought he'd been saved. Later, he learned she'd just picked a different hell for him. Ethan clawed toward the basement. Serafina raised a hand. The dark came down like a tide. Lily's lap of the blood court. She didn't comfort him. She didn't explain. She knelt, pried his jaw open, and let a single drop of dark gold blood fall onto his tongue. It burned like molten iron sliding down his throat. His bones felt like they were growing again, but his ears went sharp, terrifyingly sharp. Ethan could hear his own heartbeat slow. Ethan could hear rats running 10 streets over. Ethan could hear Mara's blood going cold. Serafina leaned close to his ear.
Live, Ethan Gray. Let me see what kind of monster human hatred can raise.
Then she dumped him in a graveyard outside the city. Before sunrise, he opened his eyes inside a body bag. The wounds were already closed. What the queen gave him wasn't life. It was a collar. Ethan tried to spit the blood out. It had already taken root. Worse, he could hear his own heart starting to answer it. When he crawled out of the body bag, the first ray of dawn touched the back of his hand. His skin charred and smoked. Ethan bolted into the shadow of a headstone. Throat burning with a hunger he couldn't bear, the night watchman heard the noise and walked over. Ethan nearly threw himself on his throat. At the last second, Lily's voice cut through him. Ethan slammed his head into the stone until blood ran down his face. After nightfall, he went home. The scene had been scrubbed clean. The police report called it a gang break-in. His wife and daughter's bodies had already been cremated. In the ashes, he found Lily's red hair clip. On the back was a rose brand he'd never seen. Before daylight would burn him, blood would tempt him, and his daughter might not be dead at all. Ethan closed his fist around that hair clip until his knuckles went white. The rose didn't look like a marker. It looked like an invitation, left for him on purpose. Ethan survived his first day in the cemetery, and that was when he truly understood what Serafina had given him, not a second life, but an invisible set of chains. Sunlight burned him, blood called to him, the breathing of normal people sounded like torture, but every time the hunger pushed him to the edge. He remembered Lily's voice under the dining table calling Daddy. That sound was a nail. It pinned him to the human side. The rose brand led him to an underground bar. The music was deafening, the perfume choking. In the corner sat one of the low-blood vampires who'd broken into his house. Ethan cut his palm with a silver knife, smeared blood on a wooden stake, and waited until it was feeding on a drunk before driving the stake through its heart. Black blood, full of blood. Serafina smiled, and Lily smiled back as she was carried into a black carriage. The images came too fast. Ethan knelt in a bathroom stall and threw up until his throat tore, but while Lily was still in those visions, he couldn't let himself pass out. The moment he stepped out of the bar, every streetlight on the block went dark at once. A dozen black-clad hunters appeared from the alley, crossbows, silver nets, UV lamps, all aimed at him. Ethan fought. A silver spike punched through his shoulder and dropped him to his knees. When he woke, he was chained to a chair in an underground interrogation room. Silver at every joint. A black-haired woman stood in front of him. Her name was Evelyn Crow, head of the Dawn Order. They hunted vampires.
Half-bloods don't get a trial. Just the fire.
Ethan didn't beg. Ethan just looked at her.
Do you know who killed my daughter?
She was quiet for a moment, then pressed a silver blade against his chest.
Prove you're still human.
When the blade came down, he wasn't afraid of dying. Ethan was afraid Mara and Lily's real cause of death would burn with him. She studied him for a long time, like she was measuring how much soul he had left. Ethan held her gaze, because she might be the only door to the truth he had.
Stop.
I am the last pure-blooded human on Earth, offered as a peace gift to the most powerful vampire duke. I never imagined I would become their living blood supply, even less did I expect to turn into their pampered princess. And certainly yet had no choice. For 2 centuries of war between humans and vampires, a peace agreement was signed. However, the condition of the agreement was that humans would send a young and beautiful woman to Dirk Draven's family every year, allowing her to fully integrate into the vampire family. And I am the unfortunate one who was selected. During the 2-century-long battle with vampires, humans have continuously evolved through genetic modification, becoming more resilient, powerful, and swift. I am the exception, having neither enhanced strength nor any improvement in combat ability. By all measurable standards, I am completely useless. But I possess a talent that no one knows about, a talent that needs to be kept hidden, especially when I am about to be sent to live with predators. I can read minds. Before I was sent, the elder of the Human Council smiled warmly and gently patted my shoulder.
You're a beautiful girl, and I'm sure you're also very smart. You'd better not mess things up.
I smiled sweetly in reply.
Don't worry, old man.
Draven Castle is nothing like the scenes seen in horror movies. No collapsing rocks, no howling wolf packs, nor flickering torches piercing through centuries of darkness. The place is breathtakingly beautiful. Crystal chandeliers hang with dazzling brilliance, while the marble surfaces are adorned with golden patterns. Soft amber light permeates every hall, creating an atmosphere reminiscent of a luxurious resort located beyond human reach. The butler is not a talking pig, nor is there a fat witch riding a broom, let alone a cat that cries when it laughs. What about the vampires themselves? The beauty is astonishing. What's particularly impressive is how stunning this beauty appears on the offensive level. Even to some extent, it seems somewhat unfair. The Duke of Draven was tall in stature and of noble birth, with a firm jawline, a striking physique. His wife, the Duchess, exuded profound charm. Her round, liquid-like eyes were so captivating that mere gaze could make one feel as if they were about to drown in their beauty. Their son, my new brother, is a completely different story altogether. Alik Delavan stood out sharply from the enthusiastic crowd, as if carved from pale marble and abandoned in the cold. His deep eyes were nearly black, his skin was as white as snow. Every feature of him exuded drama and tension, but his demeanor revealed utter restraint, composed and motionless. It's like some kind of dangerous presence. They hosted a grand banquet for me. Duke Draven announced to the assembly of ancient vampires my adoption by them, declaring me the first human princess in vampire history. I should have been grateful, yet when they invited me to dinner, I was so frightened that I nearly trembled all over.
Oh my god, I'm a walking blood bag. Their dinner.
The Duchess noticed my trembling hand. She smiled a smile bright and warm.
Darling, don't be afraid. The Dragon family hasn't drank human blood for centuries. Besides, you're my daughter now.
My dear.
Excuse me? Excuse me?
The Duke gently placed my hand in his palm. His voice was steady and powerful. It filled the entire room without needing to be spoken aloud.
We won't hurt you, kid. You're safe here.
His deep green eyes met mine. His gaze was patient, gentle, and sincere.
She seems so insecure.
Alaric is simply unreliable. He has a cadaverish expression all day long, and there's really no fun at all. I maimaced a child's for hundreds of years. I don't know what today's Heise is like. Whatever she wants, all for her.
I genuinely felt an intense sense that I was about to lose my mind. So, what exactly are those legendary bloodthirsty monsters? Are they the overbearing helicopter parents? I took a bite of delicious food when Alaric came and sat down next to me. At least my new brother looked pretty decent, relatively speaking. As he sat down, he didn't even glance at me, completely ignoring me. His expression was like a tightly shut door, cold, and utterly incomprehensible. I hesitated for a moment. Then, I gently pulled up his sleeve and gave a completely harmless smile.
Brother.
His movements were so swift that I barely had time to make out what he was doing. He stepped back, yanked his sleeve away abruptly, as if my touch had caused him a burning sensation.
Don't.
His voice was cold and hoarse. My eyes were wide open and felt warm. His chin tensed up.
Don't make me ask again. Sorry, I didn't mean that.
His ears were flushed crimson, and a slow, helpless flush gradually spread across his originally flawless, pale face. I pressed my lips together tightly. This family will end my life. At the end of dinner, Aralik left early, and the Duke and the Duchess spent a full 20 minutes comforting me together. That night I couldn't sleep. The princess suite they arranged for me was exceptionally beautiful, featuring silk curtains, a canopy bed, and soft lighting. I lay there gazing at the ceiling until the tranquility became unbearable. The kitchen, I decided, a midnight snack. This is how humans normally cope. I walked 12 full steps down the corridor. A ring wrapped around my wrist and suddenly pulled me deep into the darkness. My back hit the wall. Aralik's face was only a few inches from mine. There's something off about him. His hair was damp, as if he had been sweating continuously. His cheeks were flushed. This was the first time I had seen genuine color on his face. I swallowed hard.
Are you sick?
He pressed his face against the curve of my neck. His breathing was rapid and heavy. With each exhalation, it slid along my skin, sending a shiver down my spine.
Shut up!
Your eyes, your look is really too special.
I remained completely still. Her eyes, her gaze, she's truly incredible.
Stop for a moment, Alaric.
At that very
Stop.
Struck by lightning, I stood in the corridor, my hair sticking to my face and my heart pounding like a drum. He could have bitten me, but he didn't. The attitude is rude, but it's very safe. I added this task to my must-do list for the month, and then went back to bed to continue sleeping. At dawn, the Duke and Duchess were still sound asleep. Clearly vampires always bring about enchanting moments. Alaric is already downstairs. He looked just like a runway model who had accidentally walked into the wrong shoot location. I stared blankly. I hadn't even had time to suppress myself. I merely smiled slightly. Aralik's expression remained unchanged, yet his ears flushed red once again. Butler Merlin brought a plate of breakfast, which made me gasp in astonishment.
When my mother-in-law saw me laugh, she got even angrier.
What are you laughing at? If you can give birth to twins, I'll wait on you too!
I wouldn't dare to have that kind of good fortune.
On the night of the full moon, Darius would uncontrollably transform into a wolf, and only sex could he regain his sanity. To avoid any prying eyes, I drove out to the suburbs early. My best friend suddenly called, saying she wanted to give me something. The next day, she gives me a cursed
you.
amulet, and I immediately hang